This video is going to take us through the final two examples of actually completing the square to solve a quadratic. You might want to pause the video and make an attempt yourself. Okay, so I'm going to walk through. So in A, the very first thing I'm going to do is add 320 to both sides. So now, what I have is x squared minus 8x plus box is equal to, now 320 minus 16, that's 304. Don't know why I did that. 304 plus box. I like to put the box on both sides so I remember to add the constant I am adding to complete the square to both sides. So to figure out what goes in the box, I'm going to take my b, negative 8, divided by 2. So I'm going to get negative 4 and square that quantity, and that goes into both of these boxes. So I have an x squared minus 8x plus 16 is equal to 304 plus 16. Now, the left-hand side is a perfect square trinomial now. So it factors as x minus 4 quantity squared equals to 304 plus 16 is 320. Now I'm going to solve using square roots. Take the square root of x minus 4 quantity squared equals the square root of 320. I will be left with x minus 4 is equal to plus or minus the square root of 320. And I'm going to add 4 to both sides and get x is equal to 4 plus or minus square root of 320. This is the exact solution. Now, something that's going to be important is this is the exact solution, but it's not simplified. But I want to show you how to get the approximate solution, and then I'll go back to this. So here, I want to do x is equal to 4 minus the square root of 320, or x is equal to 4 plus the square root of 320. And now I'm going to use my calculator, do 4 minus the square root of 320, and I'm getting approximately, x is approximately negative 13 it has 0.888, so if you want to round to the second decimal place, the hundredths place, look at the third decimal place. If that's a 5 or more, round up. If it's a 4 or less, keep it the same. Since it's an 8, I'm going to round up. So that's 0.89. Or x is approximately equal to, and 4 plus the square root of 320 is 21.89. And that's solving using completing the square. Now I'm going to do a comment on this square root of 320. So x is equal to 4 plus or minus the square root of 320. And I'm going to ask myself, does any perfect square go into 320? And I might see that 4 goes into it. I might see that 16 goes into it. But 320 is equal to 64 times 5. 64 is a perfect square. So I could simplify this square root. So this is called simplest radical form. If I did x is equal to 4 plus or minus the square root of 64 times the square root of 5, and I always put the perfect square first, because this is x is equal to 4 plus or minus 8 square root of 5. And this is now the exact in simplest radical form. Okay. And now I'm going to do example B. So in example B, I have 9x squared plus 18x minus 169 is equal to 11. I'm going to add 169 to both sides. And this becomes 9x squared plus 18x is equal to 180. Now remember, I only like to use completing the square when a is equal to 1 and b is even. And I'm running into the issue here of a is not equal to 1. However, 9, 18, and 180 are all divisible by 9. So I'm going to do that right now. Notice that wasn't true in the original statement, but it is true here. So I'm getting x squared plus 2x is equal to 20. So now I'm going to set up my x squared plus 2x plus box is equal to 20 plus box. I have to figure out what goes inside the box. I'm going to take my b2, divide that by 2. I will get 1, and I'm going to square that. 1 squared is 1, and that goes into both of the boxes. So I will get x plus 1 quantity squared is equal to 21. And now I can solve this using square roots. Take the square root of both sides. X plus 1 quantity squared equals square root of 21. I will get x plus 1 is equal to plus or minus the square root of 21. Subtract 1 from both sides, and I will get x is equal to negative 1 plus or minus the square root of 21. This is called the exact solution, but I want the approximate solution using my calculator. So, and by the way, square root of 21 doesn't simplify because no perfect square other than 1 goes into it. I want to consider x is equal to negative 1 minus the square root of 21, or x is equal to negative 1 plus the square root of 21. So, right here, negative 1 minus the square root of 21, I will get x is approximately negative 5.58, or x is approximately negative 1 plus the square root of 21, 3.58. And that is solving a quadratic equation using completing the square. So we've now solved them by factoring, we have solved by graphing, we have solved using square roots, and we have solved by completing the square. So we have had 4 methods of solving. See you soon.